So one day after the Giannis trade has officially went down, apparently the Phoenix Suns are trying to have a parade inside their city, yeah. Because they are, rumor around the water cooler is they are, taking the proper precautions, if you will, to see what it would take to get Ja Morant to Phoenix to pair up with Devin Booker. Now, with this being on the table, let me just say this. I happen to love, especially like how like their play styles and stuff like that, like how they like especially Ja Morant being like the kind of dry, like more Russell Westbrook style kind of point guard, even though he can shoot. Devin Booker is that is just a great guard as far as just being able to get really do pretty much anything you would ask him to do. He can shoot the three, he can shoot the mid range, he can get to the rim, all of that, right? So I love their play styles as far as that. And I happen to actually rock with how both of them have managed to have, and people can argue, about Ja in Memphis and Devin Booker in Phoenix, but I actually respect the fact of the success that they've had with their respective teams up to this point. I don't know how it would look pairing them up together, but to give my reason to why I'm kind of unsure on how the fit would look, pause, is because John Morant is, like I said, he's more of a Russell Westbrook point guard. He's a Russell Westbrook point guard, which means he can drive to the rim, he can get to the basket. As y'all probably already know, he is looking to dunk on anybody he possibly can. So he's more that type kind of point guard, even though he can shoot threes, he can, get to the mid range, he can do all of those things as well. But what I feel like he's most comfortable at is getting to the rim, getting to the basket, getting those layups, getting the dunks, actually being in the paint to where he can control the flow of the game and stuff like that. I really respect his game, and I really actually like his game, for especially for how Memphis has allowed him to kind of just be him in a way. I don't know how that would look if Ja goes to another situation to where then it's kind of someone else in his role, I would feel like, because Devin Booker is, obviously the number one option in Phoenix. And Devin Booker, much like Ja Morant, can do all of those things that I just talked about. He can get to the rim, he can shoot the mid range, which I feel like is where he's most comfortable at. I feel like his most comfortable situation is when he's in the mid range doing those step back pull ups that he be doing, and they be the shots be cash. I ain't gonna lie to you, but I don't. I kind of feel like he would be filling Ja Morant's role as far as what he does best. So, because once again, Devin Booker can get to all three levels: 3-point line, mid range, get to the rim. Ja Morant does that, but Devin Booker is already filling that role. Now, the way that I feel like it can work, and this is just a hypothetical, right? Nothing has went down yet, so this is just a hypothetical. We're just discussing it. If it was to happen, okay. Now, if it was to happen, what I imagine would be the case is they can pause on this. They can take turns, pause. They can do like a 1-2 punch. So it can be, which I know some people have their kind of, concerns with this style of offense, but it is an option. It is on the table. If this was to happen, they will have to figure these things out. That option would be to pretty much go like a 1-2 punch. So it'd be like essentially this time down the court, Ja will take over the show. And then the next time down the court, he'll let Devin Booker take over the show. And it'll be like that. Now, I know people, once again, have their concerns with that style of offense, because what that often leads to is, naturally, if it's only two people really, being able to do their thing, it's more than two players on the team, obviously. So all the other players are looking like, well, when am I gonna get, when am I gonna get my chance to, do a little something? When am I gonna get my chance to, shoot some threes or get into the rhythm of my game? When am I gonna get a chance to drive? When am I gonna get a chance to have a drive to the rim or have a chance to control that basketball? So, it leads to those type conversations, and then it kind of increases the usage of Ja and Devin Booker, so it takes away from the usage of everybody else. So everyone else would have to fall into a role of just pretty much playing the supporting cast around Ja and D Book, which is how that would probably go. Now I don't think now this is outside looking in. You guys know I'm a Lakers fan, so I don't really know, but I don't think from the players on Phoenix, I don't think that they would have that much of a problem like with that, like with them not getting shots, with them not being able to, get into the rhythm of their game, or with them not being able to have, a couple points or get the points where they want them. I don't think that'll be an issue because I think Phoenix, for the most part, has players that don't mind, like, taking that back seat pause. So, like, because they don't really have any star, like, what I'm saying, star supporting cast players, in my opinion. They don't really have any. Now, Jalen Green he's arguably one, but I feel like if they trade for Ja, Jalen Green will probably be out anyway, because it just would make sense, because if you add Jalen Green onto it, pause, that makes it even more confusing, because which I doubt he would, and respectfully so. What you're gonna have Jalen Green come off the bench? That's that's not gonna work at all. So, and respectfully so, because Jalen Green, in my opinion, has done enough in this league and shown enough potential and shown enough talent that he deserves to be in a starting lineup in this league. So trade him to Memphis. He'll have a chance to start there. Plus, in Memphis, it'll probably be kind of his team, honestly, because, I mean, who in Memphis would be, on Jalen Green's level, to where he's been to the playoffs, he's done these things. He kind of be the only force there, honestly. So he probably would end up being like the guy on Memphis. So that would be understandable. So he would probably be gone anyway. So that would even more improve the point that I was talking about, with the fact that I don't feel like anyone in Phoenix would complain about Ja, having extra possessions, or Devin or D-Book having extra possessions. I don't think anybody would complain about that. Now, over the course of Ja's career, this is a little bit of what he's done to give you guys a simple idea. He did manage to go to the playoffs, if you did not know, a couple times. So, Ja Morant last year, did not get into his career stuff. Ja Morant last year had 19.5 points per game, 3.3 rebounds per game, 8.1 assists per game. I deal with that. Shot 41% from the field, shot 23.5% from the three-point line in 28.5 minutes per game, and also managed to have a 52.1 true shooting percentage and shot 89.7% from the free throw line. Now, as far as his career, give you a little idea of what he's done. Ja Morant won Rookie of the Year, Most Improved Player. He's a two-time All-Star, All-NBA Second Team, and an All-Rookie First Team in his NBA career. Like I said, also has been to the playoffs a couple times. So yeah, he's done some stuff. Ja Morant kind of gets undeserved flack, in my opinion. Just being completely honest with you, he gets undeserved flack, in my opinion, because I just feel like that everybody just, and this is a sidebar, and we'll get back to the D-Book and Ja thing. I just feel like that, I don't know if it's prisoners of the moment. That might be the wrong word. Yeah, I think that's the wrong thing I'm trying to say. But I think when everybody saw that season, like where Ja and the Grizzlies went crazy, like it, and they were going against the Warriors and everything like that, and they went against, they ultimately went up against us, being obviously they went up against the Lakers and stuff like that. That was a great season. I feel like when that happened, like even the first year where they went against the Warriors and the whole Jordan Poole Ja thing happened and everything, even that year, I feel like from that point on, and rightfully so, don't get me wrong, rightfully so, people started expecting this level of excellence from the Grizzlies, and they haven't gotten it. Like, they haven't managed to maintain that level of excellence. So Ja has kind of, in my opinion, has kind of gotten the kickback from it, like the backlash from that, like them not being as successful, and understandably so. He is the star player of the Grizzlies, so you guys know the rules of being a star player. You win, you get the credit, you get the admiration, incredible. You lose, you get the blame, you get it's your fault, you get trade rumors, all of that. That's the rule of being a star player. So it's a blessing and a curse. So it's you gotta kind of just deal with it with a grain of salt. That's what you gotta kind of just gotta accept in that situation. But like I said, he's done a lot through his career. Honestly, he's done a lot through his career, and has managed to have Memphis in a, I mean, dare I say, it's not really that hard to believe, has had Memphis the most competitive, that like the most competitive streak or like run that they've had in a while. Like actually, and yeah, they're not winning the championship. Yeah, they're not, going to the Western Conference Final. Yeah, of course. But every team don't gotta be, if a team is good or bad, or if a team has a spike in their production, they don't need to go to the finals for that to register. They don't need to go to the NBA Finals or the Western Conference Finals for them to register a good season. No, it's just from where they started from where they used to be, to the time of getting Ja, and the time of getting Ja and having, these playoff runs, and these even getting to the play in and stuff like that. They have been more competitive than they were in the past, because in the past, as y'all know, they just straight up used to miss the playoffs. But Ja has actually had them in the playoffs, had them in playoff series, had them in series to where they gave the other team a valiant effort, or fought hard, or had or won some games in there, or had some moments. They haven't had a series. Well, they had a couple where they've arguably have gotten bested. Like they clearly weren't on the level of the other team. They've had those playoff series, but they've never had a playoff series to where they just, looked like that they just didn't belong there. I mean, they're a respectful team. Like Ja always has them in a position to win games. Is my point. Like Ja has had Memphis in that position. Same with Devin Booker. Ja's had Memphis in position to win games that they weren't winning in the past before he got there. And he actually has them competitive as of now. So I think he gets a lot of undue criticism, undue, backlash. And I get it, because he's had some issues in the past, I mean, but listen, everybody make mistakes, bro. We are human. So he's had some mistakes in the past, to where he didn't represent the organization the best way he could, But like I said, we're all human. We all make mistakes. So I'm pretty sure he's learned from those things, and and it has made him probably a much better person than he was at that time. But still, even with that, he managed to deal with all the stuff he was going through with the Instagram videos and stuff like that. He still has managed to have Memphis in the playoffs, winning games, in competitive games, having good seasons. Like, he still managed to have them competitive, much like Devin Booker. Now, Devin Booker has managed to have more success, but you also have to take into effect that Devin Booker played with Chris Paul. So Chris Paul, you can feel how you want to feel about Chris Paul. Hate him if you want to, love him if you want. But Chris Paul is a huge addition to Phoenix, especially at that time, how Phoenix was cooking at that time. Man, Phoenix was just, Chris Paul added exactly what they needed. That veteran presence, the person to take some pressure off of Devin Booker, to take some attention off of Devin Booker, so teams cannot focus all on Devin Booker. They have to worry about Chris Paul, but everyone knows Chris Paul his nickname is the point guard. So, yeah, you have to focus on Chris Paul, but Chris Paul isn't really trying to score. Chris Paul is trying to make sure everybody else eat. So, that's Chris Paul's whole game. So, that's why I give Devin Booker, like, yes, he's had more success, but he also has played with a Hall of Fame player as well. So, it kind of, once again, you got to deal with that with a grain of salt. However, they have individually, it's my point, have had their teams competitive. They both can relate to each other as far as being able to like maintain a team, as far as like say that actually being competitive and actually having a team in the playoffs and stuff like that. They both have managed to do that. I just don't know how I would feel about, and I love both of their games. Like I said, D Book, Ja, I rock with both of them. But pairing them up on a team is like, I don't know. Like I don't know. It's just because I feel like that Ja would already be Ja, like the role that Ja has now is the role that Devin Booker has in Phoenix. So if you get Ja Morant, and I understand why Phoenix is considering this, because I mean, you get Ja Morant and Devin Booker on the same team. I mean, the sky is the limit. You know, they are talented NBA players, so who knows what happens. But as far as the realistic standpoint, right? You have a player filling the role that Ja fills. So how would that? I guess that's the thing that I would have to see, like in real time, like to see, okay, how they would make that work out, because it's more like a Russell Westbrook Harden kind of thing. Like when that duo first linked back up in Houston, the main concern was they're doing pretty much the same thing. Like, so how is that gonna work? But but Harden and Westbrook found a way to make it work because they were kind of doing like a Harden Westbrook pick and roll. Now, if D Book and Ja can figure out like how to run a system like that, like to where maybe Devin Booker and Ja do like pick and roll sets, or in a way Devin Booker can be like the shooter and Ja can be like the driver of the basketball. If they can find a way like to make that happen and figure out like a way to have that, once again, that 1-2 punch, like at certain times Ja do his thing, at certain times D Book do his thing. If they can find out a way to make that happen, then I would be interested. But if it's just putting Ja Morant and Devin Booker on the same team and letting them just be like, yeah, go play basketball, I don't know about it. It's gonna cause some creativity. It's gonna need some creativity. Some creativity is gonna be caused, because to make it can work. You guys know Chill is, look, I'm all about, people pairing up on teams and stuff like that. That's great. As far as moving to a team and trying to build something special, like trying to get to the promised land and win the championship, right? So you're trying to go to another team and build this quality, quality pairing or quality super team, whatever. However, I'm also one to say that super teams don't work unless not only both of your stars have to make it work, but also, once again, going back to that creativity cost, it's gonna cause like the coach to have to be creative, especially in a situation like that, potentially, because they do the same things. They pretty much, I mean, Devin Booker is kind of more, like I said, mid-range centric. Ja Morant is more drive to the basket. But other than that, they pretty much can do the same things. They other than like I said, the mid-range part, they pretty much like play the same way. So that's gonna be interesting to see how that pairing works out, if it does happen. I mean, this could be a hypothetical that never ends up, playing out. We don't know, because first of all, Phoenix has to convince Memphis on a trade package to get Ja Morant to Phoenix. And that's going to be an interesting thing in itself right there. Like I said, I think it'll be pretty easy, especially because I heard, and I don't know how true this is, but reportedly Memphis is not too ecstatic with Ja Morant for whatever reason. And that's been for like 3 years now. For like the last just 2-3 seasons, they've been not pleased with Ja Morant for whatever reason. And I get it. Like I said, he had some mistakes earlier in his stint in Memphis. I get it. But you still have to impress Memphis that they're getting a nice, like I said, in the Giannis trade, they're getting a nice return for Ja Morant. They don't just want to give Ja Morant up for scraps. But I feel like the trade will go down simple if they just. It's simple for me. Give them Jalen Green, maybe throw in some picks, maybe another role player. I think they'll give you Ja Morant, and I feel like you can make it work. It's just gonna need some creativity because you got to find a way for Ja and D Book to be able to coexist in the same system while also allowing the rest of the team to kind of have a role and have a flow and that they know that they can expect every night. So that's going to be the interesting part, but I'm down for it though. I'm cool with it. If it does happen, you guys know we'll be here to talk about it on the Cheer Report. I'm just interested to see how the trade would look and actually how that first game would look, or that first like figuring out process would look between Ja and D Book. It would be extremely interesting, and I can't wait to see if any other players flock over to Phoenix, maybe to see, to maybe help D Book and Ja out, like to kind of figure it out. So maybe like some players flock over there to try to see if they can fill a role or fill a void. So that's gonna be interesting as well. Yeah. So I assume it's probably gonna be Dylan Brooks is probably still gonna be there. So it'll probably be Dylan Brooks, Ja Morant, and that'll be cool because Dylan Brooks get to pair back up with Ja Morant, so that'll be cool. I assume it'll be Dylan Brooks, Ja Morant, and D Book in Phoenix. So it's gonna be interesting in the Valley if it goes down. We gonna see, but like I said, it's gonna need some creativity though. It's not just gonna work wishing on a star. That's for sure. It's gonna call some creativity, and there's some stuff gonna have to work out. You got to stagger some schemes or something. Something is gonna have to happen for you to be able to let Ja and D Book do their thing, but also be able to coexist with each other. So it's gonna need some creativity. But if this trade happens, if this trade happens, and Ja ends up in the Valley with D Book, it's gonna be a parade up in the city. Yeah.